Hi guys, it's Jonathan Weintraub from Team SpaceIL, and we're here today to talk about how are we gonna take a portrait image, that is, an image of the spacecraft from outside, once we landed on the moon. And here you can see an image, an artist's view of how such an image should look like, and I want to talk a little bit today about how are we gonna take this image and how we're gonna shoot this image you see here for real. Okay, so this is our spacecraft here standing on the moon. To its convenience, and we want to take a picture of it from the outside. How are we going to do that? So many teams in the Google Lunar X Prize have a rover that is capable of driving away from the spacecraft, and they're counting on mounting a camera on top of the rover to take pictures of the spaceship as it landed on the moon. The problem is we're using a hopper, we're not using a rover to travel the 500 meters on the ground, so we're not able to take pictures of the lander using a rover. We need to think of something creative to do so. So how are we going to do this? I want to present two concepts of how we're going to take this image. We haven't decided yet which one we're going to implement in our spaceship, but I want to share some information with you guys. So the first concept here is just have a mechanical mechanism to deploy a camera and shoot it out from the spaceship. And the camera will have some sort of short-range radio transmitter, and as it flies to the ground, it will transmit images of the spaceship as it moves away. So this concept is pretty nice. The problem here relays in the part that we're going to deploy, the one that flies out. It has many problems. For example, you need to have a mechanical deployment mechanism to throw it outside. In addition, since it's deployed, you cannot have a direct power plug into that. You need to take a battery. Now the question is, how much power do you need to draw from the battery to take those images and transmit them to the spacecraft? Another question is the battery itself. How long would it last as we are waiting for the landing to happen, or we're traveling on our way to the moon? So we need to think about how much power we need here, and how much we can store, and this is a little bit of a problem. The second problem is we need at least two of these mechanisms, because we need to take a portrait image right after the landing as well as after the hopping to make the 500 meters requirement. So we need at least two of those. Another question that comes in mind is what happens if one of them breaks. We still need to have an option to take this image, so we might need to have more than two of those. And by the way, after we deploy those, then the mass properties of the spaceship changes, because now we have a little bit of mass thrown to the side. So once we lift off or we make the hop, we need to take into consideration that the spaceship is have a slightly different mass properties. So the third question here is, how much will it weigh? Because if it's more than a few hundred grams, then it will be too heavy to carry, and once we deploy it, we will affect our mass properties severely. So these are the questions that we are asking now. These are designs that we're considering right now. The second option is to have a camera mounted on one of the sides of the legs of the lander. So once you have a wide field of view camera mounted on the side of the leg, you can take images of the spaceship or the spacecraft on the moon using a special lens for that. Now the problem here is, first of all, you have long wires coming from the camera to the main computer there. Long wires have a tendency to have some electrical problems, especially when you're using a harsh environment. So we need to have a very close intention of how we make the wires and how we protect them against the conditions of space. The other problem is we have an engine on the bottom of the spaceship to actually brake our speed as we approach the moon. Now this engine may shoot particles or high temperature gas towards the camera, and we need to protect it so it won't burn out. And the third thing here is that once you're very close to the moon, some particles or dust is flowing from the ground and might hit the instrumentation as well. So these are the main problems that we're encountering. One other very important problem is, as you can see here in the simulation, the legs absorb a huge amount of force as we are touching the ground. Now, since we're touching the ground in a relatively high velocity, then this force might actually detach the camera from the leg, and it will fly out and break. In that case, we don't want it to fly. We just want to stick on the leg there. So this is also a problem. We need to see whether the camera can absorb the shock of the touchdown on the ground. So these are the main issues we're considering right now. These are two main solutions we're thinking of. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.